This is the Jordan 1 High in the Chicago colorway from 2013. The shoe is listed for about $1,000 on the resale market. The lowest ask for a pair of these shoes from 1985 in the same size is $30,000. In May of 2020, a pair of original Jordan 1s that MJ wore on the court sold for $560,000 at auction. That's because in sneaker culture, they're the Air Jordan models MJ wore on the court during his days as a Chicago Bull, and then there's everything else.
Something about his swag, man, like it's almost unexplainable. He just had that it factor.
Air Jordan is still riding high from ESPN's The Last Dance, which aired in April 2020. But the hype around Jordan isn't some short-term fad built on exotic collaborations and influencer campaigns. There is no bigger influence on sneaker culture than Michael Jordan because there is no bigger name in American pop culture. And it's not just men. Women are a fast-growing segment of its consumer base.
It's a rush when you can get your hands on the newest pair of Jordans.
Today, retro Jordans of all types and colorways, from the Jordan 1 Retro High OG University Blue to the Georgetown 3s, sell out almost instantly on the SNKRS app and in select stores across the country. And every Saturday morning, Twitter is full of sneakerheads complaining about their latest L's, punctuated with screen grabs of "got 'em" from those lucky few. Here's how Jordan built a diehard following of enthusiasts on its way to becoming a $3.6 billion sneaker empire. This is Suddenly Obsessed. The story between Michael Jordan and Nike is a part of American folklore. A young MJ wanted to sign with Adidas, but his mom made him visit the execs at Nike. In 1984, he inked a $250,000 contract to develop his own line of Air sneakers. Nike has paid Jordan an estimated $1.3 billion since he signed that first deal. Jordan debuted his first pair of Nikes in 1984, the white and red Airships, during his rookie season and put out a new sneaker every year he played. In 1985, he sported the famous red and black Jordans known as the Band 1. In 1988, he wore the white cement Jordan 3 when he leapt from the free throw line to win the dunk contest. The 5 is the one with the teeth that look like a World War II fighter jet. He won his first championship in the 6. He was wearing the 11 when he won his first championship out of retirement in 1996. And he made the famous last shot in the 14.
Every year it gave you something to look forward to. The athlete was actually wearing them, and then those are the shoes that you could buy. If you saw him dunk from the free throw line in this shoe and it's immortalized in a poster, you can actually buy this shoe and wear it.
Everyone likes to be a winner, and in a lot of ways that carries over into the style of it, of the actual shoe. People want a part of that, which is why they gravitate towards Jordan Brand. Because Lord knows if Jordan didn't win, who knows if we'd be having this conversation.
Jordan Brand is still releasing new sneakers every year. But the original models in the OG colorways, the ones MJ wore on the court, those are the ones sneakerheads covet the most. To the trained eye, each model represents a different era of Michael Jordan's enduring legacy on the court. Every material and colorway has its own backstory, telling a different part of that narrative. Take the pair that started the craze, known as the Band 1s. Jordan was said to have been fined $5,000 per game for wearing the black and red highs because they didn't meet the league rule that a player's shoes had to match the colors in the uniform. The Band 1 didn't have enough white. Jordan wore them anyway.
Rob Strasser, who was running Nike's marketing at the time, said, "We'll pay the fines and keep wearing the shoe." And so they ran ads saying banned by the NBA, and I think that got a lot of attention. But in terms of real numbers, it was not a huge shoe, but certainly a lot of interest around that. And I think kids coming up over the next 10 years of his career really wanted to dress like him and wanted to wear his shoes.
The lowest ask for a pair of original Band 1s from 1985 on StockX is $26,550. The Band 1 has been released in different variations over the years, and each time it sells out almost immediately. But supposedly, Jordan was never actually banned from wearing the black and red Air Jordan 1. That's because the shoe he was banned from wearing was really the black and red Airship that came out a year earlier in 1984. Nike released a retro pair of Airships in the Band colorway in 2020, and those black and red Airships are the most expensive pair of retro OG Jordans at New York City's Flight Club.
Mainly because, it was a very, very rare release that came out last year, 2020, around the All-Star break. The mythology of, Jordan Brand is gonna be one of those things that will help him sell forever.
The Band saga is just one small anecdote in the rich history of Jordan. That lore creates an authentic connection between Jordan the player, his shoes, and his fans.
A lot of shoes today don't have that. They're trying to recapture that, but it's very hard because it's not organic. It's very forced. All of this stuff just happened to have happened, and we let it happen, and then people like me bought it, and we have never let it go.
Jordan, the brand, is as good at marketing as it is making striking shoes, and the company knows exactly how to use that to its advantage with diehards. Take the back plate on the Jordan 3. When Jordan wore them on the court in the '88 season, it had the Nike Air insignia on the heel, not the Jumpman logo. That detail makes all the difference. The Jordan 1s worn by the man himself had the Nike Air tag on the tongue. That tag means everything to sneakerheads. But the Jordan 1 High 85s take it the furthest. The white and neutral gray Jordan dropped in February of 2021 and is a true throwback and heavy on the details. The shoes came with the original tags and a sticker with all of the product details, just like they did when they were released in November of 1984. The production code is even printed on the inside of the shoe. The shape of the shoe is done to the 1985 specifications, which is a little boxier than the new versions. But perhaps no marketing campaign could have been as effective as ESPN's The Last Dance. In 2020, sales in almost every major category at Nike, from soccer to running, were down. Revenue for the Jordan brand grew 15% to $3.6 billion, according to Forbes.
It may surprise you, we've authenticated 3.5 million pairs of Air Jordans since inception, and 1 million of those have been authenticated in the last 6 months.
But the Jordan brand has always been about what's next. The company has mastered the art of weaving nostalgia into current trends through collaborations with up-and-coming artists like Aleli May, the 29-year-old designer from South Central LA.
I never imagined that I would have, my own Jordan, let alone 4. Even right now, it's still hard to be like, yo, you're really doing this. Just because, again, like, that's your dream.
Aleli designed her first pair of Air Jordans, the Retro 1 High Shadow, in October 2017, which is currently reselling for about $1,000. This year, she's releasing the Jordan 1 High Zoom Comfort, her 4th Jordan, and the story behind that one is extremely personal.
The blue is a representation of my elementary school, and then we have the green, which is a representation of Inglewood High School. So I had a drill team teacher. She was amazing. Her name was Shanora, and she would let me and another girl in elementary school practice with high school girls. That was really dope for me. And also I was very scared and nervous because, you're here with the big dogs now. You got to be sharp.
Today, women make up about 24% of all Jordan buyers.
You can dress them up and, just redefining femininity. Like, you can wear sneakers and still look just as feminine or girly or, still give that look. It doesn't have to be masculine. It doesn't have to be streetwear. You can do a dress and still give sneakers as well.
But bigger names draw even more attention, like the Jordan 1 Retro High Travis Scott, which retailed for $175, but will set you back about $1,800 on the resale market.
If you listen to the music, you want the shoe.
Or designer Virgil Abloh's deconstructed take with his Jordan 1 Retro High Off-White University Blue.
Virgil was able to dial into the DNA that was already there and deconstruct it, which is something that's a more recent trend in terms of like this deconstructed feel.
The hype around collabs is divisive in the sneaker community. The competition to secure a pair of Jordan collaborations is bleeding into the OG lines.
They meet the nostalgia requirements for most of people like me, but then they're also here for newer people that might not know the history and maybe they don't care.
If you're not inside the world of sneaker culture, you probably don't understand just how hard it is to cop a pair of Jordan sneakers for retail. Tales of winning on the Sneakers app tend to sound like heroic feats of strength.
This is actually the only shoe I've won on the Sneakers app in the last 3 years. Man, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting next to a coworker. He taps me and he's like, hey, I heard that these are gonna drop a day early. Open up your Sneakers app. And I had access to them, and it was the easiest time I had checking out with a shoe in modern sneaker days.
Hyped up collaborations might get all the attention, but the AJ11 Jubilee was one of the company's largest footwear launches ever, generating more than $175 million in revenue. Nike seems to be making sure supply doesn't quite keep up with demand.
I think that really what's driven the longevity of Nike is scarcity and making sure that they don't make too much of a product. I think that keeps the interest very high. Even though Jordan is well over a $3 billion brand today, it's still being driven by unrequited demand. And most Jordan releases sell out on release day.
The gulf between supply and demand is one reason all retro Jordans, not just the collaborations or original colorways, is so intense. It's also what makes the resale market so lucrative, which can frustrate sneaker enthusiasts who just want a chance to own a piece of MJ's story.
There's always going to be these other people in the way trying to take advantage of our passion, our nostalgia, and that's fine. But they also need to never forget like what brought them to where they are right now. Like this is a 35-year-old brand that was built off of one man and a lot of customers.
Jordan Brand is by no means perfect. Material quality can vary greatly from shoe to shoe. Nike was accused of using forced labor in the making of its shoes, prompting the company to issue a statement. We will continue to expand and evolve our work with other peers in the countries where we and our suppliers operate. Nike has done a remarkable job of building a lasting brand in Jordan, but most of the credit has to go to the man himself and his incredible run of excellence with the Bulls. That's why almost all sneaker enthusiasts have a special memory tied to their favorite pair of Jordans.
This is actually the first shoe I saved up my money for and was able to buy myself. So like this is like one of my favorites of all time.
What I remember was the Carmine 6s. That was my like first pair that I remember.
I grew up in South Central Los Angeles, and you know, every kid around was waiting for the newest Jordans to drop. Even my grandmother talks about her buying my uncle and waiting in line for a pair of Jordans. So this is definitely something that's been happening generations before me, but my uncle used to buy me Jordans, and I think even with that sentiment, you know, this was one of my coolest family members around.
The Black Cement 3. That pair meant a lot to me because I had the Countdown Pack version. I have this vivid picture in my mind of Kanye West walking down the street with Amber Rose, and they have these matching pair of black cements and denim jackets and the scarf. That image is burnt in my head, and that was the picture that was like, okay, if he's doing it, I need to have these.
In an era of fleeting trends and social influencers, few things have true staying power. But the connection between Jordan the brand and the player is inseparable, and so is the community that celebrates it.
Everything about his brand and his products are definitely tied directly to him, and it just makes you feel a certain way. It just hits you right in the feels.
That special feeling of wearing a pair of retro Jordans is just as strong today as it was in 1985.